If you follow me on Twitter, then you should know I have some of the best goddamn takes this game has ever seen. I've literally never missed on any opinion I have ever given in my entire life. Of course, you already know this and absolutely cannot wait for more, so I decided to start this series where I force feed my opinions down your throat whether you like it or not. I was pretty tempted to start the series off with a level like Thinking Space or EXO, but I'm still fresh off of that good 3,000 subscriber high and really don't want to ruin my mood by talking about a garbage level on episode 1, so instead I decided to review a level I have absolutely no bias towards whatsoever, which is maybe possibly thing by Jesus Christ himself. I'm going to start this review off by talking about the gameplay of the level. Having made like 2/3 of the gameplay myself, I have to say I'm pretty disappointed with how it turned out. Sure, it wasn't a Chernobyl level fuck up, but it's really only a couple of steps behind. The gameplay was supposed to be horrendous, unplayable bullshit, just like Super Probably levels, but instead it appears I accidentally made one of the most fun extreme demons in the game. Just look at these reviews of the victors, they love it. The worst review I could find of this gameplay says, and I quote, "and not completely shitty gameplay." Now, considering I made about 70% of the gameplay in this level, it's clear that this is my fuck up alone. Besides the mostly balanced gameplay and challenging but fair boss fights, in addition to the level being very flukable, I'm gonna have to give the gameplay a solid 8.5 out of 10. Once again, this is entirely my fault, I own up to it, and hope you'll accept my apology. Now I'm going to break the level down into tiny sections and give my factual statements on the decoration for each individual part. The first cube is a very humble beginning to this absolute banger of a level. It keeps things monochromatic and simple, while still showcasing well-polished movements and multiple clubstep monsters, which is always a plus. One could easily say that this part is a little too empty, and while I could definitely see their point, I would argue that iNubble was simply taking inspiration from the father level. I mean, just look at this. Next comes a short but sweet title screen, which also serves as a slick transition. Seeing flawless transitions like this works far better than the blue pill ever will for me, but what follows is unfortunately a mixed bag. The first half of this section starts off with the blocks being whiter than Karen's pumpkin spice latte. Sure, there are a plethora of succulent faces to break the white up, but it feels very repetitive and rushed. Of course, Nubble is a fucking prodigy and realized this couldn't go on. The second you enter the next ship, the blocks decide to grow some gradients and you get to see the true potential of the part. While I wish this entire part featured these gradients, I've really come to appreciate the eyegasm I get every time I enter the portal. Of course, throughout this whole section, and really throughout the rest of the level, the movements and colors are just flawless, and I think these rolling eyeballs gave me a new fetish. Now, before I move on to the next section, I gotta mention this little guy right here. Up until now, all of his brethren have been trapped inside the mother blocks, but somehow this chap managed to escape his master and fly out into the open. This is just a weird observation, but to be honest, it's kind of been fucking with me, and talking about it here made me feel a little bit better. This part here is one of my favorites in the whole level. The boldness of the white blocks contrasted against the color shifting gradient is honestly beautiful. Similarly to the first section of the level, the simplicity works so much better than it honestly should. If I really need to bitch about something, then I could talk about how this part is by far the most static of the entire level, but with the way this part is structured, movements aren't really necessary and I can see why Nubble avoided them. This next little bit feels a bit like a buffer section, which makes sense considering the style of the level after this section takes a turn into what can only be described as pure fucking lunacy. There are some really cool background effects that have been done quite a few times in the other levels, but the rainbow touch here really makes them pop. After this, we are treated to the most iNubble custom background I have ever seen, which leads us into the next part. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the best goddamn custom backgrounds I've ever seen, and I don't say that lightly. It highlights Nubble's art style and creativity in a way I've never seen before, and it works great for the boss battle at hand. Yeah, you heard me right, we're fighting a boss. And let me tell you, this crimson slab of concrete is enraged at the fact that you, a mere mortal, would dare face him in battle. He hurts you when you're at your lowest and shoves the fin as deep as it will go. And yes, you will die. Many times. This red motherfucker will summon the power of Goku and hit you with a Kamehameha as many times as he possibly can, but you are persistent. Eventually, you will learn to overcome these petty attempts at attacks and take your revenge by fisting the quadrilateral out of the fucking universe. After obliterating Mr. Square's rectal cavity and absorbing his powers, you now have the ability to ascend into outer space. As you can tell, our little face friends are absolutely horrified at what you have done. They look upon you with fear and disgust, but what you did had to be done. However, as we all know, anal is a sin, and God has seen what you've done. His wrath is inevitable. To punish you for your sins, he resurrects the most unholy demon known to mankind: communism. Now, if you're one of those special snowflakes that supports Stalin, Mao, or Bernie Sanders, then you better click off this video immediately, because they are about to get fucking annihilated. This is the battle of the century. It is literally Dr. Joe versus Werwin, and you are stuck in the middle. Just like on Twitter, it is your job to weave in and out of their politically driven tweets without somehow getting caught up in their god-awful takes. On top of this, there are now fucking aliens, because this level is weird and zany, and fuck it, now there's a magical floating sword, and just like in the real world, the United States of America takes one home for the team. Anyways, the final part of this level starts out with a Bork thing, which is a great way to start off a part if you ask me. The charm is kinda ruined when the dog is abducted by the alien, and as a result I'm quite sure his anal cavity will meet the same fate as the giant angry cube, but that's just life. You can take your mind off this cool world by taking a look at the very hypnotizing and colorful background that will stick with you throughout the rest of your journey. This part reminds me a lot of the one around 30%, only this time it's curvy instead of straight, just like Lol at sexuality. Maybe possibly thing ends on 3 things a level should always end on: a long straight fly, an invisible triple spike, and a clean ass end screen. I mean, just look at that little nugget, man, and tell me that isn't the most adorable thing you've seen in at least the past 5 minutes. Overall, this level has a super unique charm to it that makes it one of the most vibrant and eye-catching extremes in quite a while. Although there are a couple of dead spots in the decoration flow, the high points are extremely high and the low points aren't very low. I'm going to give this level a 9 out of 10 for its charm, cleanliness, movement, and amazing boss battles. This brings my final score of maybe possibly thing to a solid 8.75 out of 10. This really is one of the best extreme demons in the game, and the majority of the people who have beaten it agree. I have a feeling the next level I review won't hold up to this one in the slightest, and I gotta say, after sucking this level's penis for the entire review, I'm ready to hurt some feelings in the next video. Please go vote on which garbage level you would like me to review in the description, and that level review will come out in a week or two. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one. Peace out.